teams have just failed outright. LNG going to get by far the best top laner on the patch, and now for V5, we're going to see where they do want to go. Obviously, Jace still being open is something you could always expect to maybe see come out from Rich. Only one game on it so far. V5, though, going to go towards the meta bot laners that have been open, instantly pick the Jinx, and V5 have been one of the teams that have typically gone for an earlier rotation of support. Either the Thresh or the Nautilus coming out has really been the standouts for ppgod in the bottom lane. They do prefer to save some of their counter picks for those soul laners.
Is it bad that as an ADC main, I'm getting a little tired of the Jinxes and the Aphelios? I don't know if that's just me, but V5 will lock in the power picks, at least right now. They get the Thresh, a lot of safety in that bottom lane. ppgod having a lot of say in the engages as well as the peeling, and you have the tried and true nature of the Jinx coming through. Such a strong ADC in the meta right now, but this is what I wanted to see. Some of that early draft focus for LNG towards the jungle. Get Tarzan something he can work on, and it is Zhao and Aphelios double lock-in for LNG.
You know, going back to your point about wanting to comment on being tired of them, I mean, Jinx and Aphelios are the most played at like over 100 picks. Zeri is the third at 28. So no, it is not wrong to be tired of seeing these two champions come out. And Rich gonna go with a different flavor, right? Typically when you do see the Gwen, it has either been the Jace, the Akalis, the Kennons, the Jaxes at the earlier part of the split, not really going with the Gnar. Obviously is ranged up against melee, but still, I feel like Gwen does very decently into this matchup. You know, have the ability to go for the look for the all-in. Sure, Gnar is able to hop away, but still that's guaranteeing you at least pressure over the wave. So we're gonna see how Rich manages this one, because we have highlighted Rich has been having a better split than we expected. I think looking like one of the upper half top laners in the LPL.
Absolutely, which is a very interesting thing in its own right. When you're coming in with such star-studded mid-jungle duo, it's hard to take that spotlight away, but Rich able to do so in his own right. Now we're getting into the second phase of picks and bans. This is where things come down to the nitty-gritty. We got the Trundle banned away by LNG. Probably going to keep focusing that jungle pool against Karsa. It is the Rakan and Leona taken away from LvMao. Very, very key in the aggression that LNG loves to play.
Yeah, and you know, I would expect for maybe the Viego to come out from the side of Karsa. Not too much left open. That really goes well into the Xin Zhao. Karsa does have one of the, I'd say, wider jungle pools, at least shown so far in the LPL this split. Volibear being another one left open. This is actually one of the champions that he hasn't brought out this split. Something he is very familiar with, though. Did play it quite a bit last year.
I got really excited for a moment. I know we don't talk about hovers. It is the Volibear that is locked in for Karsa. So adding yet another champion to the literal ocean that are the champion pools for V5.
Yeah, and so far, I gotta say, I like what LNG have put together a little bit more for themselves right now, hovering the Vex. As we highlighted, this is typically where LNG have gone. Going for these more aggressive picks. I would expect the Ryze lock in over the Vex just because it has been where LNG have trending towards, but point is, more aggressive, more roam-heavy mid laners coming through for LNG. Once again, adding a bit of side laning to their composition so far, and now needing to round it out with support. When it comes to LvMao, I mean, LvMao's just looked most proficient when it has come to Nautilus and Leona, both being banned away, though. Is probably going to get pushed onto an Enchanter and go straight towards the Lulu.
And obviously, feel like the main Enchanter we've been seeing in the LPL, but I do like this composition. They have the Venn diagram going with the Gwen and the Xin Zhao, but a lot of damage to back it up in the late parts of the game, and safety in that fact. Still also pointing out that Ryze that you were kind of talking about, but it plays exactly into LNG style, needing to get an enableization for Tarzan for this jungle. The final pick of the game for V5 will be the Galio.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, like, first thoughts coming out of draft is I just feel so much better looking at LNG's composition. You know, typically I would use the term like pseudo frontline for what they have, but when you have Gwen and Xin Zhao together, right, that is a solid frontline. They're going to be able to absorb and tank so much damage between the Gwen W and the Xin Zhao ultimate together. You have very strong DPS in the backline with your Aphelios. You have the ability to push out sides with the Ryze and the Gwen. They will both outscale and just outright win the side lane matchups. Where for V5, it's like, okay, you're not very damage heavy. Like, sure, you have the Jinx, you have some DPS. You don't have a ton of burst coming through. I feel like a lot of what V5's comp relies on is getting ahead in the early game. Using the fact that you do have the global coming out in mid, that for Volibear, you can very easily set up these ganks. because if not, I think not only matching sides, but in terms of the straight up 5v5s, I think LNG have the better of them in almost every area.
Yeah, it does look a little bit better on paper, but as we all know with these two teams in specific, it's all about execution. It's all about that early snowball for both these teams. Some of the most aggressive teams in the LPL here. It's some of the deadliest duos in the mid jungle. Tarzan versus Doinb, with Doinb versus Karsa and Rookie. It all comes down to this here as we are getting ready to load up onto the Rift Lyric. It is my absolute pleasure to bring you this week 6 match of the week, sorry. And it is all but going now. We are getting into game number 1 because it is time, my friend. We are here. Match of the week, week number 6. LNG versus V5. Doinb versus Rookie. Tarzan versus Karsa. It's going to be a bloodbath.
Got to appreciate the LNG G1 in the background. Is, you know, it's not a dragon. What
It
their
is
logo
not.
was also not a horse.
It's also a lot more terrifying than dragon. I feel like a little scary, but also majestic.
I agree. But coming on to the Rift, one thing that I'm not sold on, I don't believe is majestic, is the V5 composition. I'm not really quite sure like what V5 are seeing in their heads to think that this will work out. Again, I think very low damage. Like, sure, you have a front line, but none of your champions scale too well. Gnar has always been a bit of an awkward champion in pro play. Is V5 going to aggressively push into Tribush? Okay, nothing going to happen. Going back to the Gnar, though, right? Having to play around things like your Gnar bar and syncing that up quite well. So I'm going to be curious. You do have good gank set up early on. Just Volibear having a point-and-click stun is very nice. We know Galio going in with that E, finding the taunt. You could potentially try and find kills on Doinb, or at the very least burn his flash. So then you have prio and you have the ability to move from mid and then start this snowball from mid jungle into one of your side lanes.
And obviously, a lot of spotlight has been around the mid jungle duos and how these kind of perform early on, the snowball effect that both these teams want to go for as well. But it's a lot of volatility in the side lanes. We've already seen back and forth trading between the top duos and the bottoms, and seeing where these junglers are pathing, seeing the opposite side starts for both of them will lead to different goals, at least in the early game, and especially that early first game.
Yeah, and like we're hitting on, right? I feel like there's a lot more pressure on Karsa to make something happen than there is for Tarzan. Tarzan so far full clearing towards his bottom side. When you do have an Enchanter support, right, I feel like there's a lot of urgency to just make sure they have vision, they're able to push out, not fall prey to any early ganks, as Karsa is spotted out on Raptors, so LNG have complete knowledge of where he is. The point is, Tarzan, he's not feeling too pressured to make anything happen. He does have ganks available, as we are talking about V5's mid-jungle. LNG also the setup, right? Doinb goes in with the root, Tarzan able to follow through with the W into the E, and should be able to bring a Rookie down. So funny enough, we're hitting on the story of this match's mid-jungles, but I feel like even these drafts in the early game set up for action coming from those 2v2s.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it just goes hand in hand when you're looking at both these teams onto the Rift in particular. But also a little side note I want to talk about is, you know, we're talking about the aggression and especially early snowballing for these teams, but there's a lot of utility coming out from both of these jungle picks, especially, you know, the Crescent Guard for Tarzan. You got the Stormbringer for Karsa as well to set up those dives once we hit that level 6 mark, where you also have the combination of these mid laners, Doinb and Rookie, who will have that mobility from the mid lane.
Yeah, so gonna be looking out for those dives, and we just hit on probably will be V5 the ones trying to set those up. For LNG, I feel like you're even fine if, you know, extended laning phases do come out. Even just hitting on the fact of having the Enchanter in your support role, right, gonna bring like so much like utility and stats with those shields later on. Obviously the wild growth as well. Typically, I'm not someone who loves to see enchanters in the LPL. They usually don't pan out, but I think this one is very good. As we're already starting to see that roam up towards topside for the dives we were hitting on.
They really want to get Ala up here. They were spotted out on a ward, though, by LNG. So they do know Karsa's up here. They do know there could be some trouble for Ala. If this wave is actually going to provide V5 the in they need. You still see Tarzan on the bottom coming here. The TP is now going to be utilized from Doinb. Try and save Ala, and it does do so for the moment.
Yeah, really nice by V5 to not over-aggress and look for the dive. They force out the TP from the Ryze. You're able to go back to mid first now as Rookie get the push in, and then once again kind of open up another window for yourself to look elsewhere. Now with Karsa pathing towards the bottom side, that could be another place where Rookie starts to hover as well.
And so far, so good for both these teams, at least in the early parts of the game. We do still not have the skirmishing between these junglers, but it is that level 6 again that we're all looking for, and especially how much pressure we see about these early objectives, right? We know that both these teams love to get snowballs going early, but do we see that transition into those objectives, especially the first dragon, which is on the board now? It is a Hextech dragon to start us off.
I feel like we've seen teams kind of gravitate away from picking up early dragons and have once again gone back to focusing on prioritizing Rift Heralds. I can't remember which player interview we had, but I remember one, I think it was one of the WeiBo members saying, no, like, Rift Herald is just outright more important, getting the gold lead and being able to snowball from there. Also a very LPL mindset, whether it is right or wrong, right? Being able to just smash through the game with the item advantages you're able to find. But
there's a huge wave here. LvMao gets flashed on by ppgod. The Flame Choppers will not connect. He had the Dark Passage for Karsa, but he doesn't get there in time. Here comes Tarzan now on his own gank. Pioneering. Let's see if he can get in there and do anything, but it just dissuades Karsa off his first game.
And I do feel like this is the role that Tarzan needs to play, right? Just dissuade the aggression. Doinb might be caught out.
The taunt doesn't connect because of the prison. We will see Doinb actually make it out.
Yeah, it's going to be fine, and Tarzan's still just pretty much consistently shadowing wherever Karsa is looking towards. Again, just trying to enable that scaling to be able to come out. When we look across all the lanes, right, no significant CS advantages so far. Doinb with a little bit of one. It's just a flash.
Yeah, that's a huge commit from Alla. All summoner spells burned to the top side now as Alla gets the better of that trade.
Yeah, overall, this is why I was a bit surprised to see the Gnar come out in this matchup. Like, again, sure, you have the range advantage, but I feel like it's very easy for Alla to just dash in with the E, look for a little bit of a trade, and, you know, worst case, as Gwen, sure, he'll hop lane and be able to get a bit of a trade back on the way out, but still, that guarantees you control over the wave. So we see Alla doing quite well in this matchup in LNG.
He wants it! Oh, he didn't get the dragon, and now Karsa, having the heroic entrance from Rookie, isn't going to be enough to save his life. The connection from the stun to the triple taunt, as well as the death sentence on top of it all. Tarzan is the one that dies first. How does this even happen? Now, Doinb doesn't have a lot of mana, but Light is here with the red and white. Means V5 will back away for the moment, but ppgod on one with that death sentence.
Man, I feel like the fact that Karsa was allowed to walk away from that is absolutely criminal. Straight up walks up like 1v4 in front of the members of LNG, tries to smite, and then they are the ones that find a kill. Nice by Rookie. I mean, has the ultimate right, buys some time. Karsa able to get away. We're going to get a replay of this one pretty much instantly. I guess Karsa's not walking up to 4 people because Light is still pushing out that bottom wave, but still.
You can't mess with the law, Lyric. All right, you can't mess with the law.
This. But we see, right, Rookie coming with the ultimate, kind of zones out the other 2 members of LNG. Tarzan was trying to follow up to be able to find the... I don't know if he ever got his knockoff off or just went off the same time as the Rune Prism from Doinb, but point is, right, I feel like Rookie was the savior of that play, and they were very easily able to turn it around as Photic and ppgod were coming off their reset.
Great early advantage for V5. It's so funny that all of that started off Karsa just starting up the dragon, and then Tarzan was like, nope, this is our dragon, and then V5 were like, nope, it's our objective, and here we are. So Tarzan definitely looking to get back into it here. Not the early start you would have wanted, but something else I find interesting is the fact that Rookie is on the Galio, and a lot of the differences that we see in that, right? We were talking earlier about the team of V5 loves to enable Rookie. Well, we're getting a little bit of Rookie enabling the team here, and that heroic entrance plus the 3-man taunt was crucial.
And to me, that is more of the Rookie that we've seen over these past few years, right? The Rookie that was on IG.
You know what? We can't even talk at 8 minutes because we know the Rift Herald's coming up and the fight's going to ensue. Stormbreaker comes in. We've already got Tarzan down. Needlework doing some work, though, as the TP comes in for LNG, the Realm Warp as well. Moonlight Vigil. How does this turn around like that? You see V5 in position, in pole position, and then they just lose 2 people off the back of LNG's quick decision making.
I mean, still, right? V5 not having a ton of way of punishing the fact that LNG are just tunneling through that choke. Like, we saw what they were able to get down, right? You get a bit of damage down coming out from things like the Winds of War and the Jinx, but So very easily for them to just find the full commit. ppgod is going to start this one off with the death sentence. They go in, really nice ultimate coming out from Tarzan actually to knock Rookie away, or he could have found a massive taunt. And then Light able to just follow through with the damage with a really great Moonlight Vigil. But still, I feel like that ult coming out from Tarzan was absolutely crucial. And remember as well, right? You also have a Gwen then sitting right in front of your face with her W open, like dropping the needlework.
Yeah.
4v5, very hard to walk into that situation. And also just goes back to what you're hitting on with draft. That, like, when I look at V5's comp, I don't really think team fighting. I think it's more of like a pick composition. It's more of this like early snowballing, try and find numbers advantages, pick one member off, and then translate that into an advantage. I really feel like LNG should be favored anytime we do get into a straight up 5v5, barring any mistakes coming out from LNG side.
And you have a lot of that late game damage assurance. Ala on the Gwen is going to be terrifying. Doing these more than likely tanky, at least on the Ryze, but still put some decent damage in. But we've already seen the hints of Light having a lot more to say in this matchup, especially in this team fight. I think Photic and Light will have a lot to do with the win conditions as we go further into the game, which is looking likely as we've had very back and forth early game so far.
Yeah, and for LNG, with the fact that they do have that Rift Herald and they have it on Light, you know where it's going to go down, right? Going to go down towards that bot side. I doubt they'll look for a rotation towards mid, especially for the fact that we hit on that LNG do have the superior, like, champions in the 1v1s in side lanes. We have seen Ala, sure, a bit behind in CS, but has typically been out trading Rich here on this Gnar. And you can see Doinb's been able to keep up the pressure 1v1 against the Galio the whole time. So for LNG, I feel like the play is start opening up side lane turrets very early on, and then enabling Gwen and Ryze to be able to find those individual pryos to be able to just take over the map.
Doinb on his way up towards top side, just on that roam, trying to see if they can get a dive on to Rich up there. He is almost at Gnar though, so good idea for Doinb to back off, go back mid lane. We'll get the reset now from Tarzan. You see Karsa on the bottom side of the map right now though.
Yeah, they're trying to find a gank. Waited while ppgod cleared up that initial ward. Now in the tri-brush. Light and LvMao playing very respectfully, though. Wild Growth is also up.
Rich getting the Gnar ulti there to get Ala away from him. A little bit of damage traded back. He had a lot of pings from V5 towards this dragon pit as the next dragon is up and alive. Tarzan on his way down here, though. Could get a little kerfuffle as the tri-bush play is set up for V5. Tarzan walks in. Okay, V5 pull off of that one, realizing they could have bitten off a little bit more than they could chew.
God, Tarzan still going to spot out Karsa.
All right, we're just going to walk straight into it. Karsa gets the heroic entrance on top of him. A lot of resistance given by Rookie, but here's Doinb, and the answer is there. This is what we were looking for. The fluidity of that mid lane. Can they get into the side lane fights? And we see it pulled off beautifully here, but now it's a 4v4. Both teams posturing in this little bit of a gunfight here in front of the Dragon Pit.
And I like how LNG just instantly pivot to being like, hey, we're going to go to mid first. We're going to push in this wave. We can at least deny this from the side of E5. So hit on the fact that Rookie using his ultimate to go down is much more impactful in terms of team fights than the Realm Warp.
Getting caught up a little bit here, but the Rift Herald is what is the big bounty. Bunch of gold given over to Doinb, and that mid lane tower takes a little bit more damage. Death Sentence will not connect with ppgod. Now Tarzan says it's time to go in. Moonlight Vigil used with the Gravitum, but nice taunt from Rookie. Again, the Stormbreaker over the wall, and again, just like that, you blink and V5 are right back in it.
Wait, and Rich is solo killed Ala.
Oh my god, this is tragedy for LNG.
That was just so nice to see from the side of V5. Again, I mean, it's been very clear of like how skeptical I am in terms of the comp that they put together, but the fact that LNG thought they find a pick, they kind of get baited in, set up for that massive ultimate coming out from Karsa is huge. And we didn't even get to see what happened here on the top side.
Yeah, we're gonna need
Ala
a replay.
looked like he was running down Rich, considering that when we kind of panned into the clip in the corner, he was like running away from Rich's tower. So that one will be a curious one to look back on.
It definitely will. Hopefully we'll get that replay. I think we got it right here as well. Yeah, this is the start of it. So Rich, not anywhere near Gnar, just beautifully kiting Ala.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he had that flash, misses one hit of the needlework, and even that last snip, not really being on point, but really just, like you said, being able to kite that out, I feel like was massive, him having that flash up. And here we're going to see the fight on the bottom side. The Moonlight Vigil, absolutely massive. Rookie able to lock down 2 members with the taunt, and it just sets up perfectly for Karsa to be able to follow through. Remember, Light and LvMao, 2 squishy champions, not like having a tank support where you can try and more aggressively walk in as well. Having to pay respect to the fact that if they walk forward, something like that is able to happen.
That's twice now.
Damage not being able to follow through. V5 finding the skirmishes.
That's twice now, though. That's twice that Karsa has been the bait, getting his health bar down like 200 and turns it around somehow. But this time, it was Karsa coming with the damage.
Okay,
I don't know if we get to change that conversation.
Mazel, we do not get to act like that kill they found at First Dragon
that was
some big brain play.
It was communication and coordination for V5. The taunts, the death sentence, everything on top of it. It is very oppressive when you're looking at setting up these team fights for LNG.
Yeah. This last one, I'll give you. That first one, no shot. But I will say, Rookie so far, I feel like having a splendid performance, which is no surprise, right? We've had this conversation before about like MVP candidates, and Rookie definitely being one of the players at the top of the list so far with how much he does on this team.
Tarzan cut out. There's no way he gets out of this one. He's going to try to use Karsa as a leeway to get away, but he will not. Photic gets the kill. Now excited, going to the mid lane.
And I'm pretty curious to what was going through Tarzan's mind, because for V5, they gave up a wave to look for this pick. Their bot lane moved early, looking for another one on Doinb.
They got the Stormbringer. The tower not going to help you this time. Death sentence as well. They are snowballing this away from LNG.
Mazel, and we said this in our opening segment, that V5 don't stop. Like,
nope.
V5 consistently look for aggressive plays. Again, I truly believe they're the most aggressive team we have in the LPL right now. They just don't slow down. They constantly look for these picks. You even look at the vision in the top side jungle right now, having it completely warded out, so they will spot Tarzan once he walks through that, and pivoting these plays in mid to, this pickup of second Rift Herald.
One of the things for me that stands out is, right, I said earlier you were calling them the scrappiest team in the LPL, but the other phrase that sticks with them is they always know what they want to go for. They always have a plan in place, it seems like, and they are always catching out the opposition. Rookie with these taunts, man, it is just automatic.
Yeah, Rookie was crucial, but again, I feel like another important part is the fact that look at bot wave.
Yeah.
Right as wave was coming to a neutral point in bot, V5 said, screw it, we don't need that. We're going to go for the mid turret and give this bot lane turret up, believing they can find more in the mid lane. And luckily for them, they were, right? Because if for whatever reason they don't find that pick onto Tarzan, they aren't able to convert that into a mid turret, they're just giving away their bottom lane turret, I guess for Rift Herald, because that was still coming up, so they'd be able to pick up that one. But still, overall, that would have just been a better side of the trade for LNG. So nice by V5 to be able to find those picks and guarantee that mid lane turret as well.
And can I just say that seeing Karsa in this form again is so heartwarming. This guy in 2020 on top esports was insane. I mean, he was destroying that aggressive style jungle. He was literally the poster child of the aggressive jungle. And then we had the 2021 where he was not in form. And now it feels like, yes, he might have skipped a year, but he's right back to it. And the fact that he has Rookie with him, it makes it all look so good. Yeah,
I remember on an episode of The Last State, we had Jensen Go. If you guys out there don't know who Jensen Go is Photic not going to die. Coached Splice, coached Evos, worked with Immortals. We were asking him about what he thinks of LPL junglers, and he says he always looks at Karsa and SOFM because their like styles are so like hard in one direction. That they aren't like the typical, they aren't a bit of a balance. Karsa goes hard in terms of playing for his lanes and playing for his team. Obviously SOFM typically the opposite, but we do see, as we were hitting on that point, LNG putting a lot of pressure on this top side. Looks like they're trying to find a collapse.
They do actually. Rookie flashing out though, still has the tools to get away.
Yeah, gonna be able to make it still. LNG, though, again, doing a nice job of at least putting this pressure per top side, looking for the split map. They are just giving away the bot lane turret for free. And now that Dragon's up, V5 should have a very easy pivot for this one. I'm curious to see if LNG will try to push for 2 turrets on that top side, or if they will just play for tempo after this 1 turret get a reset and just have better timing on the map. But not too much that they are able to trade for the fact that they gave up a tower and dragon on bot side, right?
Yeah.
They do get the 1 in return, but looks like that will be it. No jungle camps for them to be able to steal away on top side either.
Unfortunate there for that end of it. But we are getting close to Baron being on the table. We also will have more focus towards this top side of the map, I'm sure, for LNG, as there will be nothing on the bottom side of the map for them to take. V5 move in, clear out, and pings back towards the top side.
Yeah, now with Baron coming up in 30 seconds, makes sense, right? Start moving that vision line up in the top side, try to find those aggressive picks. Because for V5, they've been able to find a bit of a gold lead, right? 2K, but still, I feel like they're the team that does need to find the snowball, keep pushing your gold lead further and further. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them play more towards the top side, look for some aggressive picks in the enemy jungle, and try and snowball that into an early Baron, because they don't have the best Baron damage. So they will need to find some kills before they are able to look for an objective like that.
Yeah, and it all comes down to like what we were talking earlier. Both these teams thrive off of snowballs. Doesn't have to come down to that, but the early game is definitely where they look to get those advantages. Something else about the early game here as we are into the mid game. I think it's interesting that we get the Collector second from Light on the Aphelios. We've been seeing the Ryze of the Bloodthirster recently, but the Collector, a little bit of a different take.
Well, I think it makes sense to not go for Bloodthirster in this situation, right? Because for V5's comp, they're only going to win fights in all-in scenarios.
Yeah.
Their comp is so committal, right? Volibear needing to jump in, with Rich having to look for that massive Gnar ultimate, Rookie, of course, taking the ult in. So that extended sustain, not really going to do much for you. Looks like he's going to hope to cosplay what we saw from Viper yesterday, because my God, if you did not see yesterday's Top Esports EDG series, and more specifically hit Viper's Moonlight Vigil, he deleted 4 members.
Yep.
It was beautiful. It was crazy.
Crazy is our game as we see the Rift Herald take the top side for V5. They continue to barrel down this lead, about 3,000 in gold lead for themselves. They're looking at this tier 2 tower on the top side, try to get in their charge off with the Rift Herald.
Yeah, and V5 will be able to guarantee that one. Hullbreaker second coming out for Rich, so he has pretty much primarily just been split pushing this whole game, right? So it makes a lot of sense looking for those added stats, but yeah, going back to the LNG point as well, right? Pretty interesting that Light, the Collector, not over the Bloodthirster, maybe over something like LDR, when we're seeing V5's items, right? They are very tanky. A lot of resistances already coming out for members like Karsa, as well as Rich, right? Sitting on 1 cloth armor, so making his way towards his next tank item, serve also as a front line. But I think for LNG, they at least do have damage in other areas, right? You have the Ryze in mid lane, you have Gwen in top side. Like, LNG's comp, not hard pressed for damage by any means.
I just find it such an interesting conversation. And yes, this is only game 1 of a best of 3. There's a lot of League of Legends to be played. But our question coming into this one, we have 2 of the best mid-jungle duos that could possibly be in the LPL. Who comes out better for it in this series? And so far, you're 0-6 on the side of Tarzan and Doinb, while on the other side, Karsa and Rookie are performing beautifully. And a lot of the synergies we wanted to see from these two are coming alive in this game so far.
Yeah, and we're going to have to see it keeping up, right? Because for V5, they could start pivoting towards some Baron setups with the fact that Rich is split pushing so aggressively. But it looks like Rookie wanting to hover down towards Rich, maybe setting up a pick onto Ala, or expecting for LNG to come and answer.
Does have the heroic entrance with the Mega Gnar coming up as well. Actually just popped up by Rich. See, actually, the rest of V5 pinging up towards this top side of the map. Just make sure this vision game is good. And on the side of LNG, you're kind of pigeonholed into your base so far. You see a lot of members around mid lane just making sure they keep the priority there, because defense is the name of the game right now for them.
And for LNG, I mean, as long as the game stays at this pace, I actually don't think they're hurting too much, right? We've already kind of hinted at and hit on the longer the game goes on. I do feel like it favors LNG quite a bit. So as long as they can stem the bleeding, which they have been able to do, they're doing fine. For V5, with the fact that they don't have the damage or the ability to just try and commit to a Baron turn right now, you know, it would be quite risky to do that. They are just constantly trying to find this pressure around Rich.
Which is so interesting to me, and I love Rookie's commitment here. The Mega Gnar plus the bounce, the Goomba Stomp coming alive. He can't do anything, and Photic gets the kill. Oh no, Doinb is here though. He wants to revenge for his teammate. Flash already by Rookie. Here comes Tarzan. This could be a bit worse for wear for V5. Oh no, Rookie, he uses the dash into the wall, and that is gonna be a dead Rookie slowly but surely, as LNG get their 3rd kill on the board. LvMao forced to flash away from Karsa, but here comes the rest of V5. They will not commit to the fight.
No, so overall, going to be a 1-for-1, 20 seconds until Dragon. Rookie will not be up, but Ala will. If LNG can be decisive, they'll at least have about a 10-second lead in terms of having a numbers advantage. But V5
the
still way to
death
go.
sentence on LvMao. He's just obliterated. Tarzan with a big crescent guard in the middle of everybody. Does some work, but he dies immediately after. V5 pushing the gold purse into LNG.
Yeah, and just so unfortunate, right as Tarzan walks by, they just wait and find the hook onto LvMao. Instantly blow him up like you talk about, because sure, again, like we were questioning V5's damage later on in the game right now. Later on in the game, right? Right now, it is completely fine. They do have early game bursts coming out from things along the lines of, you know, the Volibear, and even Rich right now being so strong, and V5 instantly going to pivot over to a Baron.
Yeah, because they can. They have the strength. They are sitting pretty here at 25 minutes in. Baron about half health. Doinb is here. Ala is here. They do not have Tarzan. They have Light here as well. AoE there. Heroic entrance coming in to respond, but he gets stopped, and they still already found Ala. There's no way. Rich tries to get the Gnar ulti. The Baron's still fighting here. V5 split focus. Here comes LvMao. Here comes Light. They got the damage. The Baron goes over to Karsa, but V5 need to get away. They sacrifice both Rich and Photic to get the Baron.
Still, right? I mean, it's a 1 for 2, but for V5, they got the Baron. I feel like overall, they did get the better end of the trade. I didn't feel like Ala needed to go down there either. Like, they were trying to, you know, stop them from Baron, right? So that's why they were, like, playing in their face. But I feel like Ala did commit a little bit more than he needed to. Can throw down the needlework, again, posture aggressively, but he was aggressively E-ing forward.
Very, very interesting in that situation. But something to pull back for LNG at least. They do lose that objective, but at least they feel a little bit more confidence in their fighting. We'll get a replay of that, and the confidence for LNG to walk up in this situation. They know they have to force this.
Yeah, and we see...
that was really weird. It was the knockup from Baron that stopped the heroic entrance.
I've never seen that interaction before. I didn't know
he
Baron
just gets tossed
could interrupt
into the air.
ultimate. Yeah. But as we see here, right, still buys enough time for the rest of LNG's members to come through. I feel like Light doing a tremendous amount in this team fight. Again, got so much damage off onto Rich, aggressively walking forward. Has the cleanse as well for when he did get locked down to finish off a lot of those kills.
And even if Photic did just go down, I will say, we put so much focus on the mid jungle. We even put a lot of focus on the top side. But both of these ADCs, Light is number 1 in KDA, Photic is number 3. They are no slouches in their own rights for these teams. And yes, they might be a tertiary win condition, a secondary win condition for these teams, but it is still crucial in this meta that the ADC can be stable. And I feel like we have found that with both of these.
Yeah, especially on the side of LNG, right? Because now Light sitting at 3 items, I feel like he obviously is the big win condition for the side of LNG, has the Gale Force as well as the Moonlight Vigil completely goes wide. V5 not having a great amount of siege potential, though. Really only Photic going to be able to put down damage on these turrets consistently. Sure, Rich will be able to poke out as well, but that's not going to mean all too much. For V5, they've been trying to coordinate with the mid lane push as well, but now that wave completely gone. Rookie having to hover on the spot side.
Stormbringer is available. Here he goes. Karsa's in the back. Heroic entrance coming in the middle, and they've already split the fight. Karsa's all by himself. They might be left out to dry. Karsa dies. Ala is still taking the front line here as well. In some trouble, though. And V5 pushing forward. Rookie going forward with the Predator, but they are just looking for some extra damage here. V5 back away, realizing they no longer have Karsa in their front line.
No, is as it feels like it has been for the last few fights, a 1-for-1 overall, but still, the fact that V5 aren't able to open up the base and guarantee some sort of consistent pressure down in that bottom side, I feel like is a little bit rough. Rich still should be able to have some pressure in terms of the 1v1, but we're going to go into the replay here as Karsa wants to find it, flashes in to get the stun onto Light, but we do see Light able to get away, so it doesn't get knocked up by the heroic entrance. So overall, both junglers going down to start off with. Rich finds a decent ult onto Ala, but did have his W up, so no other damage able to come through from members like Photic.
Karsa going a little hand there. Stormbringer didn't deactivate the tower there, so the rest of his team was just taking the damage. Just wanted to get that extra damage in there, but we do see the setup for V5 in front of the Dragon Pit here as the soul is on the table for V5.
And I do want to say, right, I feel like V5's best chances come when summoners are down on the opposite side, because for LNG, like, they don't actually have a ton in terms of disengage. They really have almost none at all. They have the ultimate coming out from Tarzan, and that's pretty much it. So when Light doesn't have flash up, that could be your opportunity, because as we've seen, Karsa and Rookie do have quite an easy time of being able to get on top of that AD carry.
Rich stepping up here, but LNG springing the trap. Light's the one in the front line. He gets the gravitum on the ppgod, but V5 realized all they needed to do was walk away for the instant. Now Karsa's setting up the trap on the side here as well on the flank. But LNG sticking to it, keeping the turtle up.
And for LNG, this is what they got to do, right? Because LNG don't have a ton of engage coming out on their side. Really, pretty much none at all. They need to control objective first, get the enemy to walk into them to be able to find ways to put their damage
Look at
out,
this, though.
especially for Light.
V5 is just literally walking in here. They know they can go in. The dragon taken by Tarzan, though. What about the fight afterwards? Rich backs out. They realize they can just leave this, or they can go for the wraparound flank. Rookie is looking for it. The backs are starting to come out from LNG. I was going to say, if Karsa walks into that bush, he will die. LNG realizing they might be in some trouble. The back not complete for all. All right, they're still all here. They are still all staying. There comes the Sky Splitter. Light has found Rich now. Photic is on the side. How are we still in the dragon pit? Heroic interest now coming down. Tarzan taking some shots from Photic. Now Photic is going excited, and he's got that Lord Doms. He's doing some damage. Here comes the Realm Warp to get LNG out of dodge.
Yeah, and once again, just not being able to connect these abilities. And Tarzan wanting to play so aggressively, wanting to commit to these picks. I understand in that situation, right? Because V5 coming into you. I mean, there's no Mega Gnar on Rich still is in mid Gnar for him, so theoretically should be a pretty easy pick to find, but still not able to find it. And I also feel like Lights and Moonlight Vigils haven't really been on point this game. Again, with how big he is on this Aphelios, I definitely feel like we should be seeing more of an impact. You are outranged on the opposite side by the Jinx, so Photic is able to find the consistent damage. And I guess overall, despite the fact that we were questioning V5 in terms of their damage, the fact that they're able to consistently engage, but pretty much with almost anyone, right? Whether it's the Death Sentence, whether it's the Predator, Karsa going in with Rookie's ult following up, Rich can engage. They're just being so decisive and able to find these quick picks.
Something else here, Photic is on 4 items now. The tankiness of LNG is going to be utilized against them here. He will be popping shots. The Baron already down to V5. LNG not wanting to take the fight will just walk away.
And for LNG, I mean, in that situation, it's so hard, because you don't have the ability to poke them off the objective. Again, if you're going to look for an engage, it's pretty much just Tarzan going in, Tarzan or Ala jumping forward, and you have a bit of CC on Tarzan, but still not a great way of being able to lock people down. Rich was Mega Gnar in that scenario, so you're potentially jumping into what could be a catastrophic Gnar ultimate on the side of LNG. V5 going to be able to secure that objective, and again, they keep their foot on the gas pedal. They're looking for this top lane inhibitor.
Get a little bit of damage on the tower, but here comes the defense from LNG. And as you said, the siege not necessarily there for V5 at this moment.
No, V5 definitely needing to find picks, needing to find these sort of kills. This is why we saw that dive in the bot side come out, because, you know, hey, like, sure, we can rely on the buffed up cannon minion to be able to get some damage down and whittle it down slowly over time, but if they want to just outright take turrets, need to look for the aggressive all-ins.
So still looking at these ADs, right? Runance has been completed by Light. Moonlight Vigil will
Another
not
Moonlight
go
Vigil
in,
with
though.
him.
And in mid lane, Ala's in some trouble here. V5 will continue to pressure topside, but it is Rich who gets the mid lane inhibitor tower, which means also that V5 can continue to whittle away the base that is LNG.
Yeah, for V5, they should be able to guarantee.
They're going in.
Now, but LNG look for the engage.
Realm Warp coming through. They do connect it. A little bit of damage, but the Heroic Entrance separates them again. Needlework is doing work here. Ala on the side here, tanking up a storm. They already also find Rookie. The main carry is down in Photic 2, and V5 run away.
And really nice to see LNG capitalize on a moment where V5 are disconnected. 3 of them running through the enemy jungle. I believe it was Photic pretty much by himself on the opposite side, then Rookie followed up with his ultimate. So giving 2 picks over to the side of LNG. And we've been hitting on finding ways to get into the fight. The Shurelya's on LvMao is going to be crucial, like we just saw. And I guess Ala finding a flank as well was able to ward off all the other members by himself, right? Because we see here, Tarzan Light, Doinb all going to one side, and then Ala here handling the other 3 members. Completely deletes Photic on the Jinx with that ultimate.
I was saying the tankiness was going to be going against them here, since Photic has so much damage with the Lord Doms, the IE. But, you know, when you blow him up, doesn't matter. He's still an ADC. He's still squishy.
And I feel like we're finally at the point where, like, LNG, we are starting to see what we were hitting on earlier in the game in terms of, like, the damage profiles and how LNG's comp is able to play out. Again, that was also not exactly a team fight, right? V5 were trying to siege the base. They did get cut off as LNG just ran down the Jinx on the top side. But now we're going to go back to Dragon. If V5 can pick this one up, it is sold. They have control of River so far, but LNG making a nice threat onto the mid lane turret.
And this is something we've seen constantly from them. They just group up as 5, keep everybody extremely tight-knit, and move as a group. It has worked out for them so far, but they have Karsa on the flank. Light moving forward, takes half of Karsa's health down. He's in trouble here. Realm Warp is coming too. Moonlight Vigil goes wide for yet another time. And LNG have moved into the Dragon space. Maybe V5 want to back away from this when Karsa will not be here. The Dragon taken by LNG. Oh my God! No freaking way! Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now?
My God, I still remember when that was such an outrageous ability, and you know, people were begging for it to get nerfed because of the how strong the execute was in terms of neutral objectives. It did get nerfed, and then here still Photic timing it perfectly, able to guarantee that one. Tarzan has not had a great game so far.
I'm shaking my
Another
head, man.
Smite not able to go down. You know, I just assumed that this was LNG's Dragon,
Absolutely.
and I pretty much blinked right at the same time. So when he started freaking out, I'm like, what's going on? And it was like, my goodness, how does this happen?
I can't, man. I can't. That's so unfortunate because we said, like, if V5 get the Mountain Soul, it is so difficult. You were already at an deficit. Yes, you've been fighting back into it. You had some consecutive objective takes. But this changes the game completely. You have so much tankiness now on the side of V5 with the 3 Mountain Dragons, but as plus the Soul with the extra shielding.
Well, it at least looks like Light is finally making his way toward the Lord Doms, right?
Hey, completed.
Actually, just picked it up, so full build Aphelios now. You would assume Photic is probably decently close as well, only sitting on the BF sword right now. But I feel like the next crucial moment, right, it feels like it's going to come down to one fight. Important to look at summoners. For the side of LNG, you pretty much have everything up. That is so important from being able to try and kite out the initial engage from V5. Because again, it's kind of like a combo that hits you once. Karsa runs in, tries to find the stun, maybe Rich jumps in. You're trying to set up for the Galio ultimate. If Light and Doinb can be able to get away from that one, there is hope in that fight.
Yeah.
For the side of V5, Photic still doesn't have his flash up, so he does have to be a little bit careful. Does have the GA in his inventory, and also important, Karsa no flash, so can't just go for, you know, the instant stun onto Light like we see him try to find under bot lane turret.
Hey, Light has been on one so far. Like, he was just going straight at Karsa with all of his abilities, gale forcing, just having everything available to him. And that's the kind of situation you need to be in on this Aphelios. The full build, 5-0. You are the carry at this point. But something else that I've been very interested in is the fact that LNG have stuck with it. They are persistent, and they are not letting this first game go down easily.
No, and right, we've seen some good calls from him. That push in mid to give a hard choice to V5 of do we stop them? Do we just go for the Dragon give? Like, what do we do? Was a nice play. It was a little bit unfortunate that Photic's ultimate was able to steal away that Dragon. And now LNG trying their best to force V5 to come into them. Right now, they're the one with vision control in terms of topside river. Kind of surprised that, you know, Rich didn't spot that out. I don't think he fully walked into the brush, so makes sense. Instead of sweeper going though, so not wanting to potentially open himself up to getting picked off. Right now, Ala is incredibly strong.
Yeah, absolutely is. And also on the Gwen, which is strong in its own right. A lot of give and takes.
Absolutely busted.
Yeah, just a little bit. The give and takes in mid lane, it's just watching, seeing who's going to overstep, who's going to make that one mistake that leads to a snowball here. And both teams are itching for a fight. Look at that one rocket from Photic, how much damage it's doing at this point. Both ADCs full build. We have to keep an eye on Photic, on Light. Ale trying to find Rich on the side here. We get the 1v1, but look at the damage from Photic. And now they've already found Ala. He's still going golden, but he will die. And now it's an unmanned fight for LNG. It's 5v4, B5 turned to the Baron.
Yeah, like, I'm just so surprised that Ala committed to that. Like, Rich was, I think, almost halfway towards his Gnar when he did go in, but the other members of V5 able to just walk slightly forward and cut LNG off from being able to save him. And it's these types of small mistakes that have been defining the game for LNG so far and giving it over to the side of V5.
But that's also a consistent thing we've seen not only in this series, but in their past 2 losses as well. The game is neck and neck, just like this one. Yes, they were down, but it still looks consistent from them. And then one false move, one missed decision changes everything, and LNG lose the games. But see if they can pull back in this one. They're going to lose their final inhib tower. Rookie going golden there. A little bit of flare, I guess, on the top of it, but Doinb gets 1 fishbones to the head, takes a quarter of his health off. The inhibs are now the targets for V5. Don't know if they can actually get this one, though. Light stepping forward with the extra damage there, and a lot of clearing for these Baron waves.
Yeah, I like how aggressively
Ala is on this flank. Tarzan, they found Rich, but they can't get the trigger pull onto him. And V5 realized they just got away from a very sticky situation. They're going to continue to press up. Tarzan now mispositioned a little bit. Gets almost all of his health bar taken out. The stairs gauge. Oh my God. The rest of LNG need to turn tails and run here as they're losing their base. All the inhibs potentially, if V5 can transition down to this bot side, they still have 1 minute and 40 seconds on the Baron, and that's plenty of time to get the siege rocking.
Yeah, and for V5, this is so crucial, right? With Elder coming up in 30 seconds, you definitely don't want this game to end on a flip or that objective, right? So if they can start getting all of these super minions funneling into LNG's base, you know, people are going to have to stay behind and answer. You do have double TP up for your soul laners, so there are ways of going about it. They still have time before those minions will make it to the base. And LNG knowing, hey, this is our only chance. We got to just funnel right to this Elder. So for V5, they'd have resets coming through.
They're going to catch. Oh my goodness, Rich too quick off the TP. I thought they were going to catch him on it, but they immediately turn on the Elder Dragon. Karsa is back, though. This is a really desperate situation for LNG. Can they take the Elder? It's smited away by Karsa, and now the executes are going to be coming through. Flap those wings, baby, because the Elder Dragon is coming alive. LNG still in the fight, though. They can't take down ppgod. They can't take down Photic, and it's all over. Photic is flashing forward. The Elder Dragon sweeps. The roar of death takes hold, and LNG lose game number 1. A pentakill for Photic.
One of the most criticized players when he came into top esports, but switch over to V5, everything's working out, and Photic is popping off.
What a turnaround, what a fight for V5, and what a statement game for game number 1 in this match of the week. LNG are reeling.
Man, it was a rough game. I feel like especially for Tarzan, right? You just got outsmited by Karsa. You lost the Baron to the Jinx rocket. And sure, right, ever since Smite has been changed, I mean, your Smite is capped at the 900 damage once it is evolved. But still, we saw in that replay, I think they dropped it to like 750 or 8 by the time the Jinx rocket came through. So definitely, you know, time for that Smite to be able to come through. And just consistently being punished coming out from the side of the V5 squad. We did see them almost start to be able to bring it back. They had the right idea on some plays in terms of when they went for that mid lane push or when they were trying really hard to force V5 into them. Because, again, for LNG's comp, like, it has a way to like keep you at bay. They have a front line. They have consistent damage. They just don't have the way of forcing onto you. They need V5 to come in. But V5 weren't. They were waiting, right? They were patient. They waited for Ala to make the mistake around mid lane and river before Rich found the ultimate, and then they commit to going in. So overall, I feel like some, you know, questionable plays coming out from members of LNG, but I really just loved how willing V5 were to pulling the trigger.
Yeah, absolutely. The LOL wins, and this time around, the Desperado is having a little bit of trouble. But I will say, the attempts were there from LNG, even if, you know, Tarzan and Doinb weren't able to connect on the normal level that they usually do. We saw the attempt at the Elder Dragon, right? The machinations were still there for LNG. The cleanliness was not. The execution was not. And those smites gotta be on point for game number 2 because Karsa is on fire. We were saying he's back in his 2020 TES days, but it is the 2022 V5 Karsa days right now. And all in all, V5 smashed this game. I would say a little bit of cleanliness issues there. Some ways for LNG to get back in the game, and the siege wasn't there for the later parts to really ensure that. But that is something that can be adapted to going into game 2.
And I also want to say, right, like in terms of this game, like V5 knew what they needed to do. Like we were talking about how their comp needs to find these early aggressive windows. They were consistently looking for them. But for LNG as well, we were hitting on kind of one of the strong points of their comp is their side laning ability. But once you start falling behind early like this, and Gwen is getting solo killed by the Gnar, and Ryze isn't winning out more heavily over the Galio, you're never going to get a point to get into those side lanes to take advantage of those like 1v1 advantages because they just weren't there.
Yep, exactly that. Well, that is it for our first game of this best of 3 series. It was already a doozy, and we got potentially 2